Hi guys, so today we're going to talk about back pain and running. Many of you might think, why do I get a bad back when I'm running? Well, the crux of it is running is an extension sport, and that means that our spine is typically held in terms of our lower back in extension. We also need that to drive, the hip flexors, the glutes, for the running action. Now, if you're doing, regular running 3, 4, 5 plus times a week and running, moderate volume, and by that I mean, club level and above, then at some point you will get back pain. Now, all these things are preventable, just understanding the why, the how. And often it's not just about the running, it's about also what you do in your day-to-day life. So are you someone who has a sedentary job and sits for 8 hours a day? Are you someone doing manual labour? Are you someone who stood for long periods? These all have factors in why we develop injuries. Now, in terms of the spine, I have one here. Our spine is in effect an S-shaped curve, and that means that it can absorb force, it can tolerate high loads, but it also is designed to bend and extend. And if you don't do either one of those, then at some point, again, the back will start to cause problems. No different than your car when the suspension is not very good or the shock absorbers are knackered. You feel every bump, and you'll get this with running. So this is the back of the spine and this is the front. So in terms of running, most of us will run with an element of extension. Now what that does is on the front of the hips, if I bring my hand here, that kind of comes from mid-lumbar down onto our hip, is what we call the hip flexors. Now, extension for prolonged periods of time and repeated activity in this position will cause tight hip flexors. And by that I mean the psoas muscle, iliacus, as well as the proximal attachment of rectus femoris, which is your central quadricep. So if you don't lengthen these out over a period of time, they will get tight and they will contract. And that is just the element of being a muscle. It's designed to contract. So we need to maintain length. The other thing that also affects it is just your general strength. So if your hip flexors are weak, then they will shorten. I've recently just done a heavy downhill run session, and today my back is in pieces. So it's understandably that extension does cause problems. Downhill running, if you do a lot of it, will increase that extension, and we need to find ways to how we can address it. Now, the other thing that's really important in runners is the more we tip and the more we kind of go forwards because of progressive hip flex tightness, the more our glutes stop working. So we know there's a massive correlation between hip flexor length and glute activity. The tighter you are at the front, the less active you are at the back, and you'll tend to run more with your quads than your glutes. So it's really important to get this stretched, to be able to flex the spine and just counteract what you're doing day to day. So keeping it simple, lots of extension, we want to do some bending. If you're someone who sits all day, which typically means that your spine is flexed, then you want to extend. So the next video, we're going to look at typical stretches that I use a lot for screening in clinic, and what I also use myself for maintaining good mobility and improving performance at the same time. So follow these videos, follow the Facebook page and the YouTube page and channel, and some of these things will be of great use to you.